Hi, Kimberly. Thank you so much for sitting down with me for Dread Central. We're huge, huge horror fans, obviously. I have to ask firstly, do you remember the first time that you saw Brian De Palma's 1976's version of Carrie?
I saw it as a teenager.
And what did you think?
I loved it.
You loved it. Okay, so you're a true horror fan?
True horror fan.
Awesome. So that's what made you want to do this film. Did you like Stephen King's other films? Is this your favorite? How do you feel about that?
I love Stephen King's writing. I love some of the films are great. I love The Shining. I love Misery. I love It. I'm not sure which other ones there are, but yeah.
Dolores Claiborne, Thinner.
I love
There's a
Dolores
whole, yeah,
Claiborne.
Yeah. They're all a
amazing.
special kind of crazy.
Well, they're special kind of crazy, but they're really grounded. So it's the greatest pleasure because you get to go on a ride of like real characters, real emotion, real ups and downs, but at the same time, it's completely out of this world and it's surreal and it's fun. I mean, he really he hits you with it.
Right. And don't you think his stories kind of like give a lesson as well? There's always like a lesson in his films. Like Carrie would be like, you better not bully that girl because she is going to come back with a vengeance, you know, and
also
sort of
Misery.
Get her revenge, right? And Misery,
Yeah,
yes, of course.
so a lot of don't mess with the crazy person. A lot of revenge.
Yes, a lot of revenge. We love revenge, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up because I was going to ask you, I noticed that in your version of Carrie, you made the character of Chris Hargensen a little bit more sinister and more malicious, and I was thinking as a gore whore myself that you probably did that because the end car crash scene was so amazing, so much more elaborate than the first. Did you do that on purpose so that we felt the revenge so much deeper when she really got what she deserved?
Absolutely. So what I try to do is look at all the characters and just say, how can I get as deeply inside each character as possible? How can I arc out what they go through? And I really wanted to make Chris a real girl who actually has a privileged position in the school, and she is pissed off when Carrie starts getting attention. So if you notice, I make it that the teacher sides with her, the principal sides with her, against her, the dad sides with Carrie, her best friend sides with Carrie, and each time it pisses Chris off more and more. So by the time we get to the prom, Chris is fully motivated to take revenge on Carrie because Carrie has taken what Chris values most, and because she's motivated to take revenge, Carrie's motivated to take revenge on Chris. And so I always think that you want, like, it's like a tennis game. You want it to be mano a mano. It's just like Carrie goes like this, Chris goes like that. Carrie goes like this. Because I want at the end of it, when Carrie finally ends up getting the blood hit on her and the power starts to leak out, I want you to identify with her. She doesn't want to hurt anybody. She wants to leave.
Right.
Tommy gets hit. If you notice, that's what makes her stay.
Yes.
She goes down to protect her king. And when she's down, all of a sudden she realizes, and she gets pissed. She doesn't mean to do anybody harm, but there's grief and anger that comes out, and then the power unleashes. And I think by that point, you're finally like, yeah, you need to get the people who did you wrong. Because I think we all love a great revenge tale.
Don't we? The end of Hostel, I think that was the best part of the movie, is that we got to see the killer really get what was coming to him. Also, Sue Snell, I noticed her character in the original, she sort of ended in a sad note, full of despair, terrified when Carrie's hand, came to grip her. And in your version, it was like, it was really hopeful, She had a really great moment with Carrie when she said it's a girl, we found out she was pregnant. She went back to the grave and sort of gave her respect. So it's almost like she understood where Carrie came from, and even though she was obviously devastated, all her friends and the town had gone through this great tragedy, it just felt like a hopeful beginning. I know there's an alternate ending, so I don't want to, I'm not sure if maybe you changed it, but why did you make the decision to make her character so hopeful in the end?
Well, I looked at Sue Snell and I thought, she is amazing because she has all this privilege. She's beautiful. She has the most handsome boyfriend in school, beautiful family. She has everything Carrie doesn't have. This is a girl who probably didn't have a bad day in her life. And here's Carrie, who most days are pretty bad. And I thought, how great if they end up switching positions. So if you notice, Sue's hair starts getting, dirty. Sue's not wearing anything nice when she goes to the prom. Sue loses everything, and that's the best thing that could happen to a girl like Sue. It makes her wake up to the rest of the world, and that's why it's hopeful. Sue's a more dimensional person at the end because she actually has a glimpse of understanding of who Carrie is and that they're all responsible for what happened to Carrie. So I love that. I love that it's a level of completion. That is the theatrical ending, But what's really fun is we get another, you know, swing at the bat with the alternate ending.
And I can't wait to see that. I also noticed that you gave Carrie's mom a much more in-depth look than the original mom. We kind of just thought she was crazy and she was, you know, Bible-thumping, Jesus-worshiping, like, crazy woman. Whereas you gave her more of a backstory and we got to feel a little bit more for the mom in your version. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I fell madly in love with the book, with the Carrie in the book, the Margaret in the book, just the way that Stephen King tells the tale. And when I read the scene where Margaret gives birth to Carrie and doesn't know that she's pregnant and doesn't know what's coming out of her and thinks that she has cancer, and then the reaction that she takes, which is one of self-preservation and destruction of this thing that she considers evil, my jaw dropped. I just was stunned, and that had never been in any other version.
No.
And I was determined. I was like, I want to write this scene, and I want to put this in my version. And I went to the studio, and they liked the idea, but it took a while. And then finally, and I went to Julianne. Julianne loved the idea. She's like, Kim, if you can get them to do that, I will do that scene. And what was great was they finally were like, okay, we love it too. And we went and shot it, and it's just something that I love and I'm really proud of. And I think that what it does is it starts the entire movie in the right place. This is a relationship between a mother and a daughter who madly love one another, but are constantly at odds. There's an ambivalence between them. And the mother feels that she needs to neutralize and maybe destroy this daughter to hide the fact that the mother's had sex and she's enjoyed it, and to stop the daughter from being evil.
It's kind of hypocrisy if you think about it, really,
Yes.
right? I mean, it's kind of, it reminds me of Ed Gein and his relationship with his mother where it's like, all women are whores, but you had to have sex to have your son, so it's kind of sort of that same, yeah.
And that's a ticking clock throughout the whole movie, right? They're playing out that dynamic until we get to the crisis point, and then what I really tried to do was make it, Margaret doesn't want to destroy her daughter, but now she finally has to. Because the daughter exposes...
It's a point of no return.
Yes, a point of no return. And the same thing for Carrie. She doesn't want to use her powers against her mother. But when the mother's got the knife right here, what is she going to do?
Defend
She's got to
herself.
use them. So I think for me it was, wow, the heart and soul of this movie is the mother-daughter. Anywhere I could, I amplified that based on the reading of the novel in my adaptation.
Right.
And I'm really proud of it and really excited by it.
I think you did an amazing job, and I to more to your point, that Carrie felt like she had to defend herself and had to strike her mother. I think that's why ultimately she ended up destroying both of them together, because I think she could not live with herself having done what she did with her mom. So the only way that she could, you know, move forward is like, we go down with the ship, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a very good interpretation. It's also like every great monster. Frankenstein is that way. Terminator is that way.
Right.
What the monster realizes is, I love the power I have, but at the end of the day, I'm not one of this earth, right? I have to surrender that, you know. And so, yes, I think she loved her mom so much, but the only fitting end was to surrender with her.
Right. And I think that's a great movie. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. I'm sure Dread Central fans are going to be so stoked because we want to know everything about everything. And I really appreciate it. Any last-minute advice for me before I get dumped with blood?
Well, I do want to say I love Dread Central, and one thing that I try to do in the DVD is to provide lots of backstory to how we do things, because I also really love that.
Yay, we love inside stuff, inside scoops, yes.
Now, in terms of what's about to happen to you, all I know is that you're going to prom with Tommy Ross.
Okay.
That you made your own dress and you look absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. My dirty pillows are showing, unfortunately, but you know what? It's 2014.
I think you want them to show.
It's 2014. I think I'm okay.
But I don't know that there's anything else that you need to know. I just think you need to go and enjoy the prom.
Cool. Well, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for taking the time in the interview, and thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this experience.
Thank you.